about to hear a 30-year-old's opinion on modern technology. Please have your OK Boomers ready in the comments.
Sometime in the mid-2000s, these guys started to come back into fashion. Turntables, record players, big old vinyl discs that you have to buy individually, find a place to store, take out of their case, put onto the player, move the needle to the song you want to play. It was a process, a ritual. We live in an era of unmatched ease of access. Touchscreens, voice commands, AI assistants. Compared to things like Apple Music, a turntable is extremely inconvenient. With streaming, you just whip out your phone, maybe connect to Bluetooth, and slap on any song from any artist from anywhere. So why would anyone ever want to go back to these chunky things? I'm no expert, but this is a video essay, so therefore what I have to say is clearly very important. But I think, at least in part, it ties into something that's been changing in our world for a while now. Tech advancements have always changed the way we interact with the world. Nobody can deny that. But as we advance, something always gets left behind. Some level of intimacy with a medium, some level of socialization regarding how we engage with it. When I was a kid, the big tech was CDs and DVDs, with the rise of MP3 players just on the horizon. There was no streaming, so you had to go to the store, dig through the CDs, pick one out, bring it home, pop it in the player, the whole ordeal. Trips to the rental store is like an entire communal memory among my age group. Movie nights. Your parents would take you down to the local rental place and you'd walk through the rows upon rows of movies bathed in the quiet drone of the fluorescent lights. Sometimes you'd run into a neighbor or a kid from school, maybe you were on a first-name basis with the teenager behind the counter. Your hands would grow familiar with the feel of the medium, of how you interacted with it. These interactions were small, they happened without much thought, but they had a hands-on element. Each piece, each film, each album had an individual disc or cartridge that had to be handled. Each time you picked one up, it was a conscious decision. Each time you dug through the CDs at the store, it was you that decided to pick an album you'd never even heard of because you liked the cover. People would casually build up collections of media, things to display, to see every day when you walk through your home. They became part of our routines in a very casual sense, something we were so used to just doing that happened in the background of greater events. When Netflix came about, it was originally a DVD rental service. The entire idea behind it being that you could skip the trip to the rental store, skip the late fees, just get the movie in the mail and send it back when you were done. However, it didn't really take off until 2007. With the internet becoming so widely used, they introduced a streaming option to their service where users could watch movies right from their computer. The service coming to multiple game consoles like Wii and Xbox 360 over the next few years, making it extremely accessible, very convenient. It was, well, golly, I ain't gotta go to the store no more. I can just click and there's the movie. Goddamn! Many people stopped buying physical copies of movies. They stopped going to rental stores each week. It was far more convenient to simply stream the movie right from your home, and it only cost a few bucks a month after all. Not to mention that Netflix could suggest movies for you right on the app based on what you'd already watched, an early version of the algorithm. The act of digging through bins of DVDs was no longer a necessity. And as streaming was making its rise, the smartphone became more and more a part of standard life. Both Netflix streaming and the first iPhone debuted in 2007. A singular device became capable of doing, well, everything. That device became the norm, became what companies began to cater to. CDs and dedicated MP3 players died off, and pretty soon streaming services were offering apps on people's phones. Not long after that, TVs started to jump onto the smart device train, and the apps were also packaged with those. No longer did you need to go to a dedicated space, or even really have a dedicated device to listen to music or watch movies. It could be done easily from anywhere, on your break at work, or on the train. And while this is undoubtedly convenient, in the crossfire of the smartphone and streaming's rise came the slow death of physical media. Without people buying, and with streaming being a much cheaper alternative for distributors, record stores began to close, movie theaters shuttered their doors. These places, once areas where people could gather to enjoy their passive interests, film, music, art, began to fade. These are things that brought people together because of the limitations of the tech, the inconvenience of having to engage with that media on a physical, often communal level, an inconvenience that streaming and the internet being integrated into everything slowly began to erode. Video games lost couch co-op as the internet became more ingrained in our lives, favoring the convenience of an over-the-internet multiplayer compared to the in-person alternative. As games move primarily to digital downloads and online accounts, the ability to share them physically, to hand your beloved, battered, but still working copy of your favorite game to a friend to borrow, became vastly lost. Obviously, it's great that we can play games with people across the world with such ease, but it pushed aside casual person-to-person gatherings. I can still couch co-op a PS2 game with my friends, sure, but it isn't a given like it was when those old games were released. The human interaction of gaming is still present, but it's lost a lot of its intimacy. It wasn't that long ago that the internet was kind of its own place, its own thing. It wasn't something that was ever present like it is today. It was somewhere you went. You sat down on the family computer to browse the web. It was a distinct space, separate from the real world. On the old internet, part of the enjoyment came from surfing, digging through individual sites and forums dedicated to a specific topic, each one with its own layout and aesthetic. I personally spent my recess time at school in the computer lab looking up any website that housed spooky ghost stories. God, I love ghosts. Recently, browsing has vastly been replaced with AI assistants that, again, seek to remove inconvenience by removing the human element, by removing the interaction of engaging with a unique site and simply handing you the probably incorrect, because modern AI is kind of dumb, answer on a silver platter. Personal sites were replaced with social media like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, because, well, it was easier to just sign up for Facebook than make a whole website. And as social media grew to take over the web, they began to implement algorithms that showed users personalized feeds filled with ads and promoted products, the infinite scroll. And the internet lost something important: the act of surfing the net, a ritual that gave the early internet its identity, formed by the inconvenience of its design, by having to engage with it more intimately than a single click and an endless scroll. The novelty of modern tech integration into everything, the promise of its instantaneous gratification and ease of use has, I think, reached a plateau. It is undoubtedly convenient. It is nice to be able to access the majority of my entertainment so easily. But does one need to smell flowers more quickly, more efficiently? What would I gain if my phone could produce the smell of a rose without me having to visit a garden? Would it feel the same? I don't think this tech isn't important. It allows extremely easy access to music, films, artwork for a price. But perhaps this should be an option rather than increasingly the only available method of enjoying these things. I think there's a limit to simplifying experiences in the name of accessibility. Forgive me if this part feels out of nowhere, but I really think the recent trend of generative AI is the culmination of the point I'm trying to make here. It's so much the same thing to a vastly more upsetting degree. Drawing, writing, creating art is a ritual, a skill, a manifestation of the human spirit transcribed into thousands of mediums and styles across history. And what have tech companies done with this beautiful aspect of our existence? They have so kindly removed the ritual, the effort. They have removed the inconvenience of creation, of passion. We are reaching a point where countless forms of entertainment can be achieved with a single tap, a single click, a one-sentence prompt. Want to listen to music? It's one tap away. Want to watch a movie? You're there in one click. Do you want to create a beautiful piece of artwork to give to your mother for her birthday? Fuck that, dude. Tell ChatGPT to draw you some shit. It's easy. It's effortless. It just happens. You can browse social media and scroll past hundreds of posts in minutes. Streaming services are always quickly available, always curated with new popular music or shows that their algorithms have picked out for you to watch. They encourage you to let them do all the work, to take the inconvenience of having to choose, having to interact with your entertainment. The turntable is old. It has no algorithm, no AI. It has you, the record you chose, the needle manipulated by your hands. The turntable is a ritual. A great film will always be a great film. But does it feel the same when it was chosen by an algorithm rather than your own hands when you watch it on your phone compared to a theater full of people? Do you appreciate an album as much when you've never held it in your hands, admired the album artwork each time you decide to play it? Does scrolling past a painting on Twitter feel the same as seeing it in a museum? They are both experiences of the same thing, but one has context, a location, a history, a ritual to take part in. To experience a work without those aspects, is it the same? To experience every piece of art and increasingly social interaction, creative endeavor so immediately in the same context and from the same devices separates an important aspect of what gives those different mediums a unique identity. It recontextualizes them into the same box, the same experience as everything else. Content. With every advancement towards the more convenient, something is lost. Some ritual, some aspect of engaging with the world around us that we no longer take part in. Convenience is not a villain. Convenience is something that is desired for a reason, to give us more time to do the things we enjoy with the people we love. Spend less time with unneeded minutia. It's why we moved from walking to horse-drawn carriages to cars. But when the convenience is so immediate, the payoff so quick, that we are separated from the journey of creation and self-discovery, when convenience removes social spaces and removes us from the interactions with the world that the inconvenience in its lack of immediacy allowed for, is that good? The act of engaging with something connects us to it. When we hold something in our hands, we learn its shape, grow familiar to it, we come to appreciate it on a deeper level. It's how we create, learn. It's why we draw, why we write, why we take pictures. To engage with the world, to share these experiences with others, to grow from the different ways that we've all engaged with the world. The move from inconvenient technology to our modern, extremely convenient tech made the need for these physical spaces and in-person engagement with these forms of artwork unnecessary. However, that came at the cost of a sense of culture and community and intimacy surrounding these mediums. These were casual rituals, things that happened in the background of our lives, but things that connected us physically and often emotionally to our hometowns, to our neighbors, to the medium itself, be it music, movies, or video games. Tech culture is near inescapable. It's pushed onto us constantly. There's always a new app, a new AI, a new promise that something that once had to be done with some effort, had to be done by engaging with our surroundings, is now just the tap of a button. I think, in part, the appeal of the turntable is its rituals, the physical, communal nature of it. Music to be played out loud, heard by everyone in a space. Vinyls must be unsleeved, chosen, held in our hands, set upon the track. Like the movie theater or the rental store, there is an intimacy to them, to how we interact with and experience them. And I think this is something that streaming, algorithms, smart devices, with all their tech and convenience, simply can't replicate. And perhaps this is why, in a world ever technologically evolving for the sake of simplicity, the turntable keeps on spinning. This isn't meant to be a I am 100% correct and anyone who disagrees is a fool type of video. Hell, as I edit this, I find myself wondering if I'm placing too much importance on the physicality and context of how we interact with artwork. Perhaps the work itself is all that matters. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. If y'all think I'm just a crusty old man, feel free to roast the hell out of me in the comments. Anyway, I try to put out a video at least once a month-ish if I can, though I haven't really found a niche yet, so the topics are kind of all over the place for now. Anyway, thanks for watching.